Welcome to Reviewing This, and today we are going to be reviewing the WiZ smart lights. So WiZ is a French Asian smart light company, and recently they've been looking to head into the North American market. They've contacted Reviewing This since we have reviewed the LIFX light bulbs, the LIFX LED strips, so now we get the chance to see whether or not the WiZ lights hold a candle to LIFX lights. First things first, this is the A.E26 configuration, and this specific package does come with two smart light bulbs which have the feature of changing the whites and the colors. As the box itself says, there are 64,000 different whites and 16 million different colors. Do keep in mind that this package does come with an infrared remote to control the lights, and the retail value of this specific package comes out to $69.99. If you're looking to buy one color bulb, then you would be looking at paying $34.90 per bulb, and if you simply want a controllable white bulb so you could dim the whites, then you'd be looking at paying $24.90 per light. So let's get into a few specs here. With these WiZ lights, the ones I'm holding specifically, they do emit 810 lumens. You will find that other comparable smart lights on the market, the ones from LIFX, the ones from Philips Hue, the middle tier lights will typically emit around 800 lumens. If you head into a local WiZ store and you pick up a regular bulb off the shelf, you will find them typically emitting between 300 to 400 lumens. So 800 lumens is pretty damn bright. So the WiZ lights are controllable through the Amazon Echo device. They are controllable through the Google Home device, and most of all through your phone. So if you have an Android, you can simply download the WiZ app and you can control your lights from there. Or if you have an iPhone, you simply download it from the App Store. Let's begin by unboxing this, and once we unbox it, we'll then actually screw them in and then take a look at the app. So here is how this specific package is packaged. We do have a manual up here, which is also most of all like a safety guide, and we have our two lights at the bottom and also our remote. Let's take out one of these lights. So this is a WiZ light. Once again, this is an E26 configuration. Let's actually pair it up against a typical Philips regular bulb that you would pick up from WiZ for maybe like $7, $8, $10. This would be a typical bulb, right? Just screw it in, put the light on. It has one specific white variation, and you can only dim it unless you have a dimming feature. And this is the WiZ light. Side by side, you can see that they're nearly the same in size, which is a pretty nice plus considering if you've tried the LIFX light bulbs before, they're much larger than a typical light bulb. So if you go over into my channel and take a look at my LIFX light bulb review, you'll see those lights are absolutely massive. So if you're very limited in where you're screwing in your light, this is definitely a plus. So obviously both light bulbs are exactly the same, and again they do have the feature to change the whites and to change the colors. And then here we have the remote. Now keep in mind that when you do receive this package, the batteries will not be included with your remote. They simply need two AAA batteries. You just put them right in and they're good to go. And the nice thing about this remote, you do not have to do anything else. Once the batteries are in, you could actually use them. So you screw in the lights and you could already press them on, off, and then the preset options. Then you have a dimmable feature up above, one click and they dim, and even brightness control. Now it might seem a little strange to be fitting your house with smart lights for using a remote, but it is definitely advantageous considering how inconsistent Wi-Fi can be. If you take a look at any reviews for LIFX or the Philips Hue, you will see that there will always be people that complain that these lights tend to stop connecting to the network, to the hub. And I've had the same deal with my Lifix lights, as in I would be heading to bed and I would hop into my app and I would try to close all the lights in my apartment, but some of them would go off, the others would not go off, because sometimes they would jump off the network for one reason or another. But having a remote handy is definitely better than having to walk over to the light, hitting the reset feature, hitting the reset button, and then waiting for it to reset, for it to finally connect again and to shut them off. So if you're in a rush, you simply grab the remote, you point it at the light, that's all you have to do. And this remote will work with all WiZ products. You have to simply take the remote, point it at that WiZ product, at that WiZ light, hit the off button, it goes off, hit the on button for it to go on. So now that we had the opportunity to look into the lights from the outside, let's screw them in, get the app opened up and give them a run. So let's begin by installing the lights. We have the lights screwed in already as it is. Once that's done, keep in mind that if you do flick the lights on, they will go on. There's no issue there. On top of that, going back to the remote works already. You simply point it at the light and we can turn them off, we can turn them on. There are 4 presets you can set up on the remote. It does already come with some presets, such as number 1, it gets brighter. We have one where it turns orange, one where it turns some sort of greenish tone to it. If you want to dim the lights very quickly, there's simply a moon that you click on and it dims the lights. Very simple. So that works out of the box. But now let's head over into our WiZ app and get the installation process going. First, you will have to select the room in which your lights will be located in. And once you do that, you have to select your Wi-Fi network and then begin the process. Enter the password for your Wi-Fi network, and then it would say to power on the WiZ lights that you want to connect until the lights start to pulse, and that it should happen after 3 to 5 ons. So we're going to turn them on and off and pay attention to whether or not they pulse. So there we have it. As you can see, the lights are finally pulsing. Just give it a few more seconds and we should finally connect. There we go. So now in the app we do have a selection of 2 lights, obviously because we installed 2 lights. We're waiting for both of them to load in, and once that is loaded in, they're good to be used. Perfect, there we go. We click on finish and then we select an icon to represent the light fixture. So let's see if we could find one that resembles this one. Here we go. We hit next. We do the same for the second bulb. And it's set up. So a few things you should know when using the app. If you click on the room altogether, you can control all the lights in the room. So in this case, we have living room selected. So if we hit the off button in the app, they both go off. The on button obviously brings them back on. But if we click on an individual light within that room, then only that light will react to the app. Going back to all. So if we want to, let's say, now we want to change the color, we simply click on the middle icon over here. And we do have our whites at the very top of the list. We can select between a cozy white, a warm white, daylight, cool white. Those are the presets that come right in there. If we want to choose a custom white, then what we have to do is click on the custom white option and simply drag around and see what we like. So I like this white over here. If we want to actually add it to our app preset, that way it's easier to access next time around, we simply click on the add button and now it's added right there. So if we head back as we just did and we click right here, it's always going to be sitting in that option. We don't have to look for it no longer. For the colors, there's the same thing. We have a true color option, relax or focus. Let's take a look at focus. And do keep in mind that we can control the white in focus as well as the brightness or dim. If we want to make our own custom color, it's just as simple. We click on custom color and we just move around and see what we like. Let's try to find a nice blue tone. Let's go a little bit more purple. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Let's add that, and that is navy blue. That will forever be there. Now on top of that, you do have other options known as dynamic. Dynamic simply means that the lights will actually change color, but the bulbs themselves will change color, I mean. So if we click on, let's say, romance, and we'll just look at that. We'll just look at the lights for the next 10-15 seconds. You'll actually see how they should start changing tones here and there. It might be hard to capture it on camera, especially if the tones are very close to one another. You could definitely see the change. And keep in mind, you could also increase the time between every light. So let's say we want the lights to change color quicker. We can simply drag this over here, and now they should begin to change quicker. If we head back here, let's take a look at deep dive as a dynamic. That's nice. And we do have nice things such as progressive. Now if we click on that, that will, over the next 30 minutes, basically if you click on progressive wake up, over the next 30 minutes the lights will get lighter and lighter as time goes by. So I mean, if you've been using any smart lights in your home at this point, a lot of these options are very familiar to you, and being able to use the dynamic mode, being able to select your specific color or add it. It's very similar across Philips Hues, across Lithics. And do keep in mind, WiZ does come, these bulbs do come with 16 million different colors, and that's more than you ever need. If we head over to the scheduling tab, that allows us to schedule a specific light, specific color for a specific time. It's pretty handy, especially if you work late and you come home at 7 o'clock, and if you want the lights to come on about 5 minutes before you come through the door, you can set that up. All the lights in your home could be going on right at that time, as long as they're WiZ lights. And just as the other competitors, you can easily integrate WiZ lights with Alexa, with Google Echo, and also IFTTT. A lot of people don't exactly know what IFTTT is. It's basically a way to get further functionality out of your lights. Let's say, for example, they have such features where you can integrate it with any of your smart lights where, let's say you're invested in a stock, right? And you want the lights, some specific light in your apartment or home to go green when your stock went up. That's possible with using IFTTT. You simply tell them what stock it is, you set it up with a light, and now anytime you come back home or over the weekend and you see that light is green, you know you made some money. In terms of giving access to other people, it's pretty damn convenient, because if, let's say, you had someone come over and you want to give them some access, they want to play with the lights, then all that needs to really be done is you head over to your settings section, and you will then have an invite button in which you click on, and you generate an invite. When you press on generate invite, that will create a six character code. You simply give that code to the person that came over, they download the WiZ app, they enter that code, they can now access your lights temporarily. And you could obviously also set up an expiring date on that code. You could also delete it, so once they leave and you no longer want them to have access, that's very simple to do. So let's just play through a few more colors here. So we've had the chance to screw in the bulbs, play with the app, see how the lights look, and now let's actually dig a little deeper into this. So let's begin with price. As it stands right now, the WiZ smart lights, specifically these, the A.E26 configuration, the whites and the colors, they're much more affordable than the WiZ lights or the WiZ lights. When I was buying the WiZ lights, I was paying $100 for 2 bulbs, and I know that WiZ even charges more than that. Well, when it comes to the WiZ lights, for 2 bulbs plus the remote, you're getting them for basically $70. That's a $15 difference per light versus WiZ. And $15 is pretty significant, especially when you consider the fact that some people, like myself, we do want to outfit our whole apartment with smart lights. So if you have 10 to 15 different light fixtures where you want to buy smart lights for, if you have 10 light fixtures and you're using WiZ lights as opposed to WiZ lights, you'll be saving $150 overall. That's quite a savings, especially when the lights are just as good. You have just as many colors, right? The WiZ, the WiZ lights, WiZ lights, they all offer 16 million different colors. You can dim them. There are different features you could use within the app, the dynamic features of changing them. They integrate with Google Home, with Amazon Echo, with I.E26, 2 T's, sorry. And WiZ and WiZ really do not offer that much more for their lights than WiZ does. Except for the fact that they're at least $15 more expensive. So when it comes to price, WiZ definitely wins here at a minimum of $15 per light. Now let's talk about warranty. If you're purchasing a WiZ light or a WiZ light, you would receive a 3-year warranty with your light. Well, with WiZ, if you purchase their light, you will receive a 5-year warranty. That's 2 extra years of protection of your product. So 4 years down the line, your WiZ lights stops working, you simply contact their support team and receive a brand new light. If 4 years down the line your WiZ light breaks down, you have to go out and buy a brand new light. In terms of the amount of users you could have connected to a single light, with WiZ, well, first of all, let's cover this. If you get WiZ, you have to also receive their hub, right? This hub needs to be plugged into an outlet, and then those lights are connected to that hub. Having a hub altogether is pretty excessive. I mean, who wants to have a device sitting on the floor or using up an outlet when you have companies such as WiZ and WiZ allowing their lights to connect directly to your Wi-Fi and not having to use any other device? But with that hub, WiZ does allow you to connect 50 users to one light. WiZ allows 35 users to one light. WiZ, on the other hand, allows unlimited users to one light. And now what's most important about that is how those users are being connected to that light. So I've had a situation a few weeks ago. I had a few people over and they wanted to play around with my WiZ lights. I gave one of them the password to the light in the Wi-Fi network. They connected it, they were able to control the lights through their phone, and then a few days later, when they were back home 20 miles away, they decided to prank me by changing the lights in my apartment from that distance, and I couldn't stop them until I changed the password. Only then did I realize the flaw in that, there's no easy way to revoke that permission that you give someone when they first want to use your lights. Well, WiZ kind of solves that by making a very simple process, as you've seen in the demonstration video, where you can give someone temporary access that actually expires. And if, let's say, you give access and it doesn't expire, you forgot to set that, well, you could easily revoke it with one click. And WiZ and WiZ do not, WiZ and WiZ do not do that. While with WiZ, it's much easier to control who has access to your light. So when you take all these things into consideration, it's quite clear that WiZ does offer more for their product at a more affordable price. And moving forward, I definitely plan on outfitting the rest of my apartment with WiZ lights, since you simply get more bang for your buck. Now, if you're someone who's never used any smart lights ever and you're still on the fence as to whether or not they're practical or useful, go out there and buy one WiZ light. It's, if you want to buy the one that has colors and whites, it will run for $34.90, $35. Buy one light, put it in, see how you like it. I personally love smart lights. I'll give you an example. When I moved into this apartment, I had a light switch up against the wall of the hallway when you enter into the apartment. And that light switch controls the lights in the kitchen area. Well, I had a huge drawer, and the only place I could place that drawer was in the hallway, right up against that light switch. And I knew that if I did so, I would not be able to control the lights in my kitchen. So I went out there, I read about smart lights, and I purchased the 2 lithic light bulbs. I screwed them in, I left the switch on the wall permanently on, and from that point on, I've been switching the lights in my kitchen on and off through my phone, and I've seen the great benefit of that, especially when you can control all your lights in your apartment from one little place on your phone. It's instead of having to walk from one light switch to the other in your apartment, you could simply be on your couch and you could toggle them off. And that's not even touching all the different functionality you could have inbuilt when you use apps such as IFTT. Ways of having your lights, change to a specific color when it starts raining outside, like very cool stuff like that. And if you have guests over, it's definitely a great way to entertain them. I mean, we're still relatively young in the whole smart light kind of space right now. There aren't too many people out there utilizing them just yet, but they are very attractive, and it's pretty fun to play with. Overall though, I mean, I'm definitely impressed with the WiZ lights. I never heard about them until they contacted me, which I'm not surprised, because they only in the last month or so have they really moved into the North American region, and I can definitely say that they will do quite well with their bulbs. If you're interested in seeing more pictures about the WiZ lights, I will leave a link to a full written review in the description. In that written review, I also have screenshots of the apps, more detailed review of how things work. So it's definitely worth viewing that. If you have any questions, if you're on the fence of buying the WiZ lights and you feel that I can answer them, leave a comment in the description. I'll make sure to answer that. And most of all, thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.